SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Come see your locally owned and operated Linton Glass for all your glass needs. No matter what glass you need to replace, you can count on Linton Glass. Call us today at 601-835-4336 or find us on the web at lintonglass.com.
And now, Sports.
Get ready, sports fans. It's time for Chasing Foul Balls on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5 and streaming worldwide on the SuperTalk Mississippi app and on your Amazon Alexa devices. Chasing Foul Balls, your weekly source for all the sports news and interviews important to Southwest Mississippi. Chasing Foul Balls is presented by First Bank. And now, here's your host, Robbie Hamilton.
Well, good Friday morning, everybody. Welcome to Chasing Foul Balls right here on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5. Glad to have you along with us this morning. We'll have the former head coach of Indiana State University when Larry Bird was there. Now, that was a few years ago. Bill Hodges will join us, and also the newest member of the Delta State Hall of Fame, the Sports Hall of Fame, Glenn Davis, also the retired coach up at Co-Lin. Glenn retired as the winningest football coach in Co-Lin history. So we'll have Glenn Davis on to talk with us a little later this morning. Joining me here in the studio, to my left, TP himself, Richard Hay. How are you, Richard?
Oh, Robbie, if I was any better, I don't know what they'd do with me.
How was Easter?
Oh, it's wonderful.
That's good. We didn't get together last week, so I wanted to make sure Easter was all right.
Yeah, everything was good. Had a new baby calf born.
Ooh, big time.
And she was a heifer. That's even better.
Oh, yeah.
Living right, business is good.
That's right.
Yeah, and got to eat got to eat a lot of leftover candy that the grand girls didn't take.
Oh, well, we've all been called heifer lately, haven't we? To my right, the young gun back with us in person, believe it or not. Wes Nunnery, how are you, Wes?
Top of the morning, everybody. We are doing good on this side of the table.
That is good. Let's get started. If I ask you this question, how would you answer it? College sports year has been blank. Richard, college sports year has been...
Oh. Like a whirlwind.
You got my tongue on this one. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say on this one.
Go ahead, just say it. Just say it. Whatever say.
Wild is the first word that comes to mind.
Yeah. Good. I would think it's been a very good year for college sports. You know, your football with Indiana got a lot of eyes and ears. Basketball, Michigan, same way. In the South, you can't beat baseball at the level they playing down now. Even softball for our area,
Amen.
It's really been good. So, for all the negatives you hear, I would think that the year for college sports has been pretty good.
Yeah, the competitiveness on the field, outside all the other jargon, has been good. I'll give you that.
And all that stuff that we say about that stuff, in a weird sense of the way, has probably made the competition level a lot better. Because if you watch the early rounds of the NCAA tournament, there were teams on there that they weren't just there because they won some little, Bodunk conference. They were good.
Yeah, but that's the only thing that I still have a problem with in college is I don't know who's playing where. I could have a roster, and I wouldn't know who's playing where anymore. That's the only thing that bothers me. You can't. It's like it's hard to pull for a school like you used to because you knew the players. Even with USM, you knew the players.
Oh, yeah.
Now they're 1 year and gone. You'd be lucky if you even get to see them. Might as well know them.
Well, a roster becomes your best friend because even to the last game of the season, you're still looking at a roster trying to figure out who somebody is because they haven't been there.
Well, it also leads to the point where it gives that team that we weren't very good this year. Well, we might be really good next year. You don't know who might be it is, and I heard somebody say the other day, we're back to now. Used to always root for Southern Miss. You still do. Now you root because of the color, because you might not have a clue who the starting left tackle is. Used to, you'd heard his name called since he was a freshman because he was a high recruit, and you knew his name as good as you knew yours, your quarterback. Now you don't even know who that's going to be.
Well, and the flip side of that is you don't really get excited about signings anymore because they're not going to be there to get developed. So,
like I said, the high school signing period really does not make much difference anymore.
No, not at all.
Because, like you said, if you do get a good player, most probably by the time he gets to be a sophomore, you won't have him anymore either.
And I think that comes right to the point we're making. Wasn't all of Michigan's starting five at a different school last year?
Yes.
Well, most of the teams that made it to the Final Four or 8, they have
one of the guy that had the hurt ankle, he was at UAB last year.
Yeah, I saw the first time in history that the starting five in a national title game have all been transfers.
Which takes us to the next question. With Trump and the NCAA's 5-year plan, you start a 5-year clock when you graduate from high school or you're age 19, no red shirts, limited exceptions. Will this work?
I think it's a step in the right direction. I have no problem with the 5 to play 5. More people are playing 5 these days than not anyway. So, go ahead and make that the standard. I have no problem with that.
I think it's exactly a great way to put it, Wes. I think it's something out there that we can negotiate and talk about and try to come to some consensus. Whether you add a year and here, there, yonder. Maybe give call it a red shirt year and one transfer, however you want to put it together, where everybody comes. So at least we know this is what we're going to be.
Yeah, it's an attempt to put some guardrails on this thing.
From the standpoint of the portal and the transfer thing, I'm okay. I've been okay with when they started selling jerseys and stuff on sports medias and this whole NIL thing started 25 years ago, whatever it was. You always felt like that sooner or later, especially as these TV contracts got so much bigger, sooner or later, something's going to happen, and it did. And now it's a free-for-all because nobody's afraid to do anything, but they got to put some guardrails on it, like you said.
But, guys, this thing can't work unless the schools agree to it. Because all you need is one to go to court and win, and the next one don't go to court and win. If the schools don't agree that this is what we're going to try and live by it, not just agree to it, they agree to a lot of stuff. They don't live by a lot of stuff. If they don't agree and live by it, it's no way to work.
Right, and truth be told, you hate it for the athlete, but at some point, some people have got to start losing some of these court cases, or it doesn't matter what you try to put in. It's never going to stick.
Yeah, and I think the Power 4 or 5 conferences, whatever you want to put it, have got to be the drivers of the fact that, okay, we as a conference, because the NCAA, like you said, they've been neutered. I mean, they're almost
they're a joke at this point.
They try to raise their head every once in a while to see if they know exist, but they don't.
Yeah.
Okay, I give that analogy.
Right.
Well, can you think of a better one?
No, I'm going to leave it with you.
I could use another word, but I'm not going to go there
on radio. You can't.
It'd be like we'll be there got stuck before Coach Hodges gets with us, so we'll be there to set the standard before he ever gets here. But that goes with one more thing. When you talk about the fact that you got to agree, there's no way the NCAA is going to win any of these court cases when Chambliss's court cases in Mississippi.
Yeah.
Or this guy's court cases in his home state. Is it going to take somebody like the SEC and the Big Ten to pull out of the SEC, out of the NCAA and form their own football conference, and then maybe they could either live by their own rules or fight amongst themselves with no rules?
At this point, I'm kind of in favor of that. I mean, just, they're not following the rules anyway. Speaking from somebody who's not a power conference guy, they're not following the rules anyway, so they might as well go off and do their own thing, and truth be told, let the rest of us go back to the way it was, because I had no problems with the way it was.
Yeah. The way it was better for y'all.
Right.
For Southern Miss.
Amen.
Which takes us to the next thing. Did you see where LSU says they're going to give more money for revenue sharing to baseball?
I did not see that. But.
Now, is this a deal where you got to do basketball coach, you got to do football coach, Bulky's getting her money? Is this a way to keep Johnson happy? that I'm going to give you more money, or just the fact that I'm losing this year, so that's the way to solve the problem?
Well, kind of on the side of this, I saw, I don't know if this has to do anything with this or not, but people have started asking Johnson about his interest in MLB jobs. And he hasn't exactly said no. He said, right now I'm happy here today. But
like every coach.
Right. But it's interesting that all this is coming out at the same time. I wonder if it's all rolled in together.
But that's also behind the scenes a statement to, hey, if you want me to not consider this anymore, I need some more money to do that. I mean, it's funny how they say everything and they say, well, he just said that. No, everything is said with a purpose.
Mm-hmm. Or not said with a purpose. Or not
said with a purpose. And that's when I hear that statement, I'm like, okay, Tony Vitello jumped. Okay. Is he thinking about it? Well, why does he come out and say, well, I'm happy today? Okay. Well, what does that mean?
Right.
And
what does that mean for tomorrow?
But what does it mean for tomorrow? Well, what would it take for you to stay? Well, what if we give you more NIL money?
Mm-hmm.
NIL money is all about evaluation and valuation, isn't it? You know, to be a good team and to spend your money wisely, you got to be able to evaluate what somebody's really worth, and you also have to be able to evaluate his talent at the next. If, for example, if you're bringing somebody in, to be able to evaluate his talent at the level you're playing. That's a lot harder to me than giving somebody money, to be able to decide what he's really worth.
Well, and how do you determine what somebody's really worth? I mean, for example...
That's it. Evaluation. You got to be able to do it.
Well, especially you go off past, if you look at a guy who's been sitting on the bench, but he was a high school All-American, but he hadn't been able to break the starting lineup at Kentucky. Okay, well, does that mean he'll go to Southern Miss or Mississippi State and be all conference?
Well, I'll take it a step further. This offseason, we had a rotational defensive lineman for us. Wasn't even one of our starters. He was a rotational piece. Ends up going to Auburn because Auburn's willing to write him a check. I mean, the guy's not even an every down starter for us. So how do you evaluate a guy like that to say he's worth X, Y, Z to come here?
It's just like in the pros. The scouts are the bloodline to the teams. Because they're the ones that are evaluating every day and putting their on the line and say, yeah, this guy's a first-round pick or this guy's not a first-round pick. And that's how that's done. And like you said, they're the ones that determine, okay, he's good enough. Now, what you going to pay him, that's between y'all. But he's good enough, in my opinion, to play at that level.
Final question. Would Southern Miss, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, would they host a regional if they gave the bids out today?
State and USM would. Ole Miss, they've dug themselves a little bit of a hole. I'm not sure that they would get one as of today.
I agree with you, Wes. Not as of today. Not as of today. I think Southern Miss and State are pretty much a lock to host the first round. Now, whether they're a national seed, I don't know. But Ole Miss, like you said, now they did a great job going down to Florida and winning 2. If they were to win 2 out of 3 this weekend or possibly sweep, then I think they come right back into the conversation.
This is a big weekend for Ole Miss and LSU both.
Both need wins.
Whoever wins this series is going to be a notch up, and whoever loses is going to be really swimming
This
up
is a get up off the map series.
Yep.
Welcome back. Bill Hodges, the former coach at Indiana State, will join us right here on Chasing Foul Balls on this Friday morning. Stay with us.
First Bank has access to the best supermarket savings system, where customers can literally cut their grocery bill by 20 to 50%. The club checking account with First Bank offers eClub members the option of selecting only the coupons they want for the products they already use. Call or stop by any branch to open your club checking account today. Now you know. First Bank is the way to go. First Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
back, Chasing Foul Balls this Friday morning. Glad to have you right here as we continue to try to get Coach Bill Hodges on the phone to be able to talk to him before we go there. Guys, Connor Griffin. Wow. New contract, 9 years, $140 million, and he signs a contract after he's played 2 MLB games.
And he just got married too, I think. So
yeah, last summer.
He's living a full life at 19 years old.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine being 19 years old. And he signed for more money than I'll probably ever make in a lifetime.
Oh, it's no doubt in my lifetime. I had or would never make $140 million.
It's crazy that he hadn't gotten there. I mean, hadn't been there very long, and he's already got that contract.
Think of all the cows, Richard, you could buy with that contract.
Man, it wouldn't do. I tell you what, Ms. Ruth and I had that conversation. Wouldn't do me no good.
One last thing before we go to Coach Bill Hodges. The SEC Media Days announced that they're going to have Kiffin there on Thursday. Yeah, let me find my notes where I got this written. On Thursday and Golding there on Wednesday. Wouldn't it have been a lot better for the SEC to have those two there on the same day?
Oh, schedule them back to back, where one's leaving the podium and one's coming up.
To me, you miss a great opportunity
to have drama,
to have great things at the SEC, and that early to start.
They don't have a building big enough for all the media credentials it would want for that.
It would be interesting. I was just amazed that they put them on different days, so I thought for sure we'd see them. And that same day, back to back, maybe not back to back on the podium, but one morning, one afternoon, they would be in the building the same day. But I reckon they're trying to stay away from a, quote, controversy like we are. That's the one thing we work on.
Yeah.
Is staying away from controversy. On the phone and joining us on this Friday morning, Coach Bill Hodges, former coach at Indiana State University. How are you, Coach?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, not bad for an old fat guy.
I know that feeling.
You don't know nothing about fat guy. I've seen that picture. You don't play it. You don't play at the same park we play in now. That's for sure. How is it, retired coach?
Oh, I get a little bored at times, but I play golf a couple days a week, and I watch basketball nonstop. I think I have every sports station on my TV there is. My son-in-law asked me to fill out his bracket for his office pool, and I told him usually I don't do that well in brackets, but I've seen every team, I think, in the country play at least once on TV, and so I filled out the bracket. Guess who won? My son-in-law won that bracket.
Did he give you part of the money?
He offered. I said, I'm afraid to gamble on basketball.
I understand that.
Hey, Coach, this is Richard. How are you this morning?
I'm good, Richard. How are you?
Oh, we're good, and so thankful and grateful that you could join us. And me and you had the conversation, I guess, before we had the game, and me and you talked about your thoughts about Michigan and UConn, and tell me your thoughts. I know you said you watched all the games, and tell me your thoughts about the game and the eventual champion in Michigan.
Well, I'll tell you, in my brackets, I picked UConn to beat Duke. Actually, they shouldn't have, other than that kid from Indiana shooting a half-court shot. But I had everybody. I had Florida playing against Houston, and Houston in the Final Four, but they got upset by Illinois. And, of course, Florida got upset by Illinois. Brad's a good coach, so he's really a good person. So I had picked UConn, and Arizona has been really good all year, and one of my former assistants is their video coordinator, so I followed them really closely. I was kind of pulling for them, but I picked Michigan to win because I didn't think they could handle Mara. And that's exactly what happened to Arizona. They just couldn't handle Mara, who's a heck of a player. But I had Michigan and UConn, and I had that as a close game. You know, you have to choose in the championship game. You have to pick the scores, and I picked 70 to 68. It didn't quite turn out that way, but it was close enough to win the money.
Coach, Wes Nunnery here. As everybody has said, thank you for joining us this morning. Let's go back in time a little bit to the 1970s. Talk a little bit about the recruitment of Larry Bird. I saw an interview with him not too long ago that was talking about his recruitment, and he said when it got down to decide which school, he ended up choosing Indiana State because he said Coach was persistent. He said, honestly, I got tired of seeing the guy. So talk a little bit about recruiting him.
Well, when I first went down there, as the other assistant and I couldn't find him. You know, we went to the school, and his high school coach his senior year took us over to his home, and his mom answered the door, and she said, why don't you just leave him alone? Everybody's pestered him to death, and shut the door. And Gary said, you know, normally she's really nice. She must have had a bad day. But I refused to leave town until we found him, and we finally found him. He was he and his grandmother's washer had broken, and so he had her at the laundromat, and I saw him carrying the clothes out to his car, and I pulled in and introduced myself. He said, well, I'd talk to you, but I'm busy. I got my granny and taking her home, and then I'm working on my truck, and yada, yada, yada. And his grandmother came around the back of the car and said, now, Larry, these gentlemen have driven all this way to see you. You invite them up to the house for tea. And she fixed iced tea, and she lived up on a hill, and cleanest house I think I've ever been in. And we sat there and talked for a long time, and he and I had a lot of things in common. You know, we're from a small town in Indiana. We'd spent our summers baling hay. I grew up on a small farm, and he grew up in town, of course, but we did the same things. We played basketball every night on the outdoor courts, and you know, we had such a similar background that we kind of hit it off. But the other assistant was from Cincinnati, and he didn't understand us small town boys. And when Larry told us he worked for the city, and you know, they'd clean the park one day, and they'd paint curbs one day, and on Thursday they picked up the garbage. And I asked him if he drove the truck. He said, hell no, Sam won't let me near this cab. I work on the back. And the other assistant said, well, you want to work on the garbage truck the rest of your life? And Larry looked at him, and, you know, he didn't look up until you said something really important. And he looked up and he said, yeah, I kind of like the job. And I knew then that we needed to get the heck out of there. But he had told me about his cousin. His cousin had started. He was a year ahead of Larry, and he said if he'd have gone to college, he'd have been a great player. And I said, Larry, they're going to say that about you someday if you don't take advantage of this opportunity. And then we got up and left. And I went back a couple days later. I filled out all the forms and everything. Back then, you had to get a release from their former school. And I knocked on the door. His mom answered the door. She said, "Come in. You want something to drink?" And Larry said, "How'd you know I was gonna consider this?" And I said, "Well, you're smart. You would, this is your one opportunity to get out of Dodge." And so, the rest went pretty much. He came to visit and played against our guys. They played in their jeans. He and his two buddies, I think it was his cousin and his brother, and they beat the heck out of our starting five with a couple pickups on their team. And he told me he would come if he could move up there and get a job, so he could have competition. And that's what happened. We got him a job, and he moved to Terre Haute, and he spent the next 4 years there.
Coach, this is Richard again. When you watch the tournament, and I think it's still the most watched basketball game in the history. If it's not, it's in the top 2 or 3 of that game between Indiana State and Michigan State. As you watch the tournament this year, all the hoopla, the big stadiums, the way it's expanded, what's your thoughts about how it's grown ever since that night?
Well, when we won our conference tournament and were selected to play, we were one of the number 1 seeds. That was the first year they seeded teams, and we won the regional. Nobody had thought to get a plane to go to Salt Lake City, and they scrambled around. Our track coach ended up getting the plane to go to Salt Lake. We'd have been stranded in Terre Haute or driving a bus if it hadn't been for him. A guy named Fred Draper. I still talk to him. I talked to him while I was up there. There's a book that a guy from Boston wrote. His name's Keith O'Brien, and he told this story about as good as I've ever seen it told. Most of the books that have been written, I just skim. I don't read them. But his was so interesting, I read it, and it tells the true story about how things happened.
Coach, this is Wes again. Talk about how you feel about the current state of college basketball as an old school coach with all the NIL and the money and the transfers. What's your opinion on the game today?
Well, you asked me about the Final Four and the tournament. It's gotten to be where it's such a money-driven thing that they have it in places that seat 75,000. That'd be hard to play in a place like that. But the NIL, my thoughts on that, I'd say the top 20 teams in the country back when I was coaching probably were paying their players anyway. I won't make accusations, but we both know that the top teams all paid under the table. So I don't mind the NIL. They need to put a cap on it. But the portal is ruining college athletics. If the rule was like it used to be where a kid had to sit out for a year, they wouldn't be so willing to put out money for a guy sitting over there watching games while everybody else played. And I think that's probably the way it should be. Either that or maybe give them one opportunity to transfer and that'll be it. Because these kids are transferring 2 or 3 times just to make more money. It's ridiculous. I read a thing this morning where the UConn coach said, well, this kid from Indiana that was their shooter, if he's not going to get picked before 15th or so in the draft, he'd be better off staying at UConn. He'd make more money. That's a real eye opener when a kid makes more money in college than he does playing pro basketball. Something needs to be done about that. They need to change the rule, put a cap on it, and you can pay them a reasonable amount, but no more than that.
We're talking to Bill Hodges, former head coach of Indiana State University, the 1979 NCAA championship game with Larry Bird. Coach, you had one of the best quotes I've seen in a long time, so I'm going to kind of set it up. I'm going to let you finish it. You said that you left Indiana State because of illness.
The president got sick of me.
That's one of the best lines, Coach, I ever heard. Oh.
Hey, coaches.
I tell you, Keith O'Brien didn't put it in his book, but when we got back, the president made the statement to me that 33 wins didn't mean as much as the one loss. And I should have resigned right then and moved my family, because that was what was going to happen, And I was too naive to understand what he was saying to me.
Coach, this is Richard again. When you watch games now and you watch the tournament and you watch basketball, we talked about it. You watch basketball every night for about 3 or 4 months. You can watch a basketball game. Do you watch it as much as a fan, or are you still coaching as you're watching the game?
My granddaughter lives with me, and she played basketball in high school, so she knows a little bit about basketball. And she made the statement to me the other day, "Pop, why do you yell at the TV and call those players dumbasses when they make a mistake?"
Because,
I coach them right on the TV, and where I'm living in Hickman, North Carolina. There's a really good Division II school here, and the coaches coached at Southern Indiana before, and then at Eastern New Mexico before coming here. And he's got a heck of a team, and I go to their practices, and watch their practices. I don't have much to say unless he asks, but I go to all their games, and their women. Has a real good team. Both of them won their conference, and I really enjoy that part of it. I kind of sit there and second guess the coach, but not out loud.
It's a lot easier to second guess another coach, isn't it?
Oh, I told Brent Owens is the coach here. And his assistant and I have become real good friends, and I was talking to his assistant. I said, hell, I haven't lost a game in 5 years.
That's me, Coach. I sit there and watch all these games and had to broadcast all these games. I ain't never lost a game, I don't think.
Yeah, you did a lot of armchair coaching, I'm sure.
I did. I did a lot of second guessing. Sometimes I should have kept my mouth shut, but sometimes I just can't do it.
Well, Coach, this is Richard again. Well, Coach, I was going to say, we all watch it at a certain level, but some people watch it at a lot higher level, and obviously that's the case with you. But I'll tell you what I've said to everybody that's ever asked me about our relationship. As I said, well, it kind of came about from the standpoint of my son Justin and meeting you many years ago. But I said, that's what I tell people. I said, I never got a chance to walk around Liverpool with the Beatles, but I got to walk around Indianapolis 11 years ago with Bill Hodges. And that was a sight to see, because I think everybody we walked by knew you.
Yeah. Well, hey, basketball in Indiana is big. It's a cultural thing, and I really enjoyed our trip to Indianapolis. I didn't go this year. I moved to Hickory, where your son was the assistant AD, and before I could get here, he'd moved to Columbus, Georgia.
Let me ask you this. On these trip you made with Richard, did he teach you anything about cows?
Pardon me?
So on the trip you made with Richard, did he teach you anything about cows?
Well, I knew a little about cows. I used to milk. From the time I was 9 years old till I was a junior in high school, I milked 2 every morning and every night.
Well, Coach, we're just curious because we get educated on cows up in here every week. So we were just curious if that happened elsewhere.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we were having lunch at Dick's hot dog stand, which is an icon in Wilson, North Carolina. And I said, "What are you doing? During the day while Justin's working?" He said, "It gets kind of boring. I just hang out, And I said, "Well, what do you want to do?" He said, "I want to go up to this place where they have Charolais cattle, and they feed them on grass only." And I said, "Well, where's it at?" I think he said Newton, North Carolina. And I said, "Well, let's go." And we got in my truck and we went to Newton, North Carolina, and spent the day with the people that raise Charolais cattle.
Well, Coach, 6 hours in the truck with Richard Hay, you got an education. There's no doubt about that. We appreciate you being with us on this Friday morning. Thanks for taking your time, and good to talk to you.
Okay, you can send the check to my new address.
I will. I got it right here.
That'll come directly from Richard.
Yeah,
Thank you, Coach.
I got it right here. Something blank, something, I don't know. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
I pay, I charge the same as I do when I'm watching basketball on TV. I turn the volume off. I can't stand listening to those guys.
Well, we think we made it pretty good. We made it for about 30, 40 minutes and didn't get called a dumbass, so we're really happy right now. Coach, we'll talk to you next time.
All right.
Richard Hay. That was Coach Bill Hodges, the former basketball coach in Indiana State. Coach Larry Bird, his entire career there.
And the name of that book, in case you're interested, is called Heartland.
Heartland.
Yeah.
I'm about to go get it, no doubt about it. Coming up next, we'll talk with Glenn Davis right here on Chasing Foul Balls.
First Bank helps its customers stay on top of their credit. In today's world, it is essential to keep track of personal credit. Monitoring your credit report for changes is one of the best ways to combat identity theft and ensure the accuracy of what is being reported. As an eClub member, you receive daily credit file monitoring and automated alerts of key changes to your credit report. First Bank's Club Checking Account for anyone who wants to stay on top of their credit and protect themselves against fraud. Now you know. First Bank is the way to go. First Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Welcome back to Chasing Foul Balls Friday morning. Glad to have you along with us. Our thanks to Bill Hodges, the former head basketball coach at Indiana State University. He coached Larry Bird all 4 years there. I went to the 1979 NCAA championship game when he was at Indiana State. A lot of fun talking to Coach Hodges. Also on the phone with us this morning, another big honor, just elected to the Delta State Athletic Hall of Fame, Coach Glenn Davis. Hey, Coach, how are you?
Good. Good morning. How y'all doing?
Oh, man, we hanging in there. 2 questions to start this. Number one, how's retirement?
Well, it's going pretty good. I reckon there's a lot of honeydews I'm trying to get caught up on, and just a lot of other things that I've just piled up through the years.
Second thing, I looked at your bio, and when you were at Delta State, they said you were a defensive back and an outside linebacker. How in the world was Glenn Davis an outside linebacker at Delta State?
Well, back in those days, as an outside linebacker, you were involved in pass drops and all that kind of stuff, and so it was more like a strong safety.
Who'd you play for at Delta State?
Well, I signed with Don Denning, and he was there my first year, I redshirted, and then Johnny Plummer was the head coach after that.
The one thing I noticed as I was reading some stuff about Glenn Davis, it says that you had over 250 student athletes go to 4-year schools when you were Co-Lin, and you had 2 NFL first-round draft choices and 2 NFL second-round draft choices. You ran some talent through the Wolfpack, didn't you?
Well, we were fortunate to have a bunch of kids that bought into our plan and kind of what we believed in. And, I think I've always prided myself on being a blue-collar guy, and those were the kind of guys that we recruited hard, too.
Coach Davis, this is Richard Hay.
Hey, Richard.
I guess my question is how much is the people that surround you? Football's a team sport, but we hand out individual awards and individual accolades because I hear so many people say it. This isn't just because of me; it's because of the team and the what we put together. And talk about that a little bit.
Well, I mean, it has everything to do with people you surround yourself. I mean, you be fortunate to have good players and then have good coaches, and you got to have administrators that are willing to help and to buy into what you see. And, those things are mighty important. And, assistant coaches, I mean, I've been fortunate to have a bunch of good ones there, and it's it has everything to do with the people. It's never was about me.
Coach, Wes Nunnery here. Thanks again for joining us.
Yes, sir.
Talking about your time at Delta State, you played and coached there, and I'm assuming when you were inducted into the Hall of Fame, you ran up on a bunch of old people from your days at Delta State.
Watch how you say that.
And I'm sure a lot of war stories came up from back in the day. What is your favorite memory from your time at Delta State as a player or as a coach?
Well, when I played there, I was kind of a role player. I wasn't a great player by any means, or even probably not even a good player. But I had a good time there, and my mom and dad said I had too much of a good time my freshman year because my grades reflected it. And it was the Delta is somewhere I grew up, and I enjoyed it. And there were a lot of great people I met. Dean Riley and Wayne Blansett. They were super folks, and kind of took me under their wing. And coaching wise and football team wise, we weren't very good football team during that time. So I mean, Delta State, I think is more about the success that I had coaching after I left Delta State that probably had more to do with me being inducted.
Coach, is it harder to be helping your son coach football, or was it harder being the head coach of the football team?
Well, it's probably a lot harder being the head coach, and basically my role last year was I was just in the press box on game days to help him a little bit and just tell him what I was seeing, and so it wasn't a major role at all. The coaches that he's got hired, were guys that a lot of them that I'd hired when I was there, and he's had a few hires since then, but I think he's done a great job with the guys, and the guys that stayed with him believed in him, and I think they've done a great job. And but watching is a lot easier than it was being the head coach.
I hate to ask this, I'm going to ask it anyway. What's your feelings about the portal and revenue sharing in college football now?
Well, I just don't know how it can last. I mean, it's a lot of money being given out, and I just don't know how long people can keep giving it. I know they're making money, but they're spending all that, I think, and then people that are outside the program that are giving it, I just don't know how they can keep doing it.
Coach Davis,
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
I think they should get. Players need to get some money. They've made a lot of money for the universities. I just think there's got to be a cap.
Coach, if you when you talk to young people, guys you coached or guys you had on your staff, how did you advise them as far as, is this really what you want to do? Because this is my daily routine, or this is what I do. How do you direct them in that direction if they want to go that way?
Yeah. Well, probably the best example I got is when Micah was helping us in 2012, and he was working for as a research assistant for Dr. Raju in Jackson. And he would come down every day for practice, and when he got off, and then helped us on game days. And then, he did that for a couple of years, and then one Sunday afternoon he calls me, and I'm headed back to the office, and he said, "Dad, I need to talk to you, and I think I want to be a coach." And I said, "Well, be sure and tell your mom I had nothing to do with this decision." And so it was, it was something that, I knew he had been around, and I think a lot of these kids today, because when I grew up, it was football and hunting and fishing and that kind of stuff. I couldn't see myself being inside working from 8 to 5 and wearing a tie all the time. And, I just think that kids have to decide that, do they want to give back to kids? And a lot of them are in the same shoes that a lot of them growing up. And I used to tell people that in our league, everybody always talked about you losing kids every year. And I said, well, the thing about it is the same problems, just a different name. And I just think that that's a thing you have to know, that what you're dealing with, and that you're trying to make kids' life better. Teach them things that maybe they're not getting at home. And, I always want them to be a better man when they left me than when they came. And a lot of times, I probably got more from them than I was actually able to give them.
Coach, when you made that trip to Co-Lin, did you ever expect the fact that you would be there for 21 years?
I didn't. I knew I would be there until both my kids graduated, because I'd promised them that when I left Starkville. And, I had several opportunities and that I could have left, but most of them were during that time when they were still in high school, and I wasn't going to leave then. And then once you get vested and getting close to those years retirement-wise, you can't leave, because of PERS is such a good deal for educators. And so, I didn't see that I was going to be there for that long.
Well, on the wall now you have the Co-Lin Sports Hall of Fame, you have the Mississippi Community College Hall of Fame, and now you've added Delta State Hall of Fame. Pretty good as far as you go, as far as putting things on your wall.
Well, I didn't definitely see any of that happening to me when I came out of high school. You didn't really know what I was even going to do for a living then, and just been mighty fortunate. I've been blessed by having a lot of good folks around me.
Well, Coach, I spent quite a few years up there at Co-Lin with one Glenn Davis. I want to tell you, it was the most enjoyable time in football I probably ever had, was watching the Glenn Davis teams. Well, I appreciate it, Robbie. You did a great job, and it's easy to when you have kids that buy into what you're doing, you can put things together and be successful. Well, we just had Coach Bill Hodges on, who was the head basketball coach at Indiana State when Larry Bird was there. And one of the things I asked him, he has a statement I think he would like. He said, "I left Indiana State because of illness. The president was sick of me." That's about the best thing I've ever heard a coach say as far as the reason he was leaving. That's pretty good. I wish I'd have thought of that. I was fortunate. Dr. Timms hired me when I was assistant coach, and then Dr. Garner hired me back as a head coach, and then Dr. Nettles and Dr. Hewline, and then Dr. Middleton. Some of them were better presidents than others, but I think for the most part they all supported me, and and it starts there. You have to have their support, and sometimes you don't understand, and I know there's things that they don't always include us in and coaches in decisions they make, because
they have an entire university that they're looking at, where I'm just running a specific group of guys. And so, but I was fortunate there, and really love Dr. Timms and Dr. Middleton's there now. And I think he's going to be a really great president, and the longer he stays, and he understands athletics.
Well, Coach, I know you got an appointment you got to get to. We appreciate you taking the time on this Friday morning and joining us.
Man, thank y'all so much for having me, and I appreciate y'all through the years, and it's always fun every time y'all call.
Thank you, Coach. We'll talk to you later.
Thank y'all.
Coach Glenn Davis, former head football coach at Co-Lin. Like I said, right now on the wall he has the Mississippi Community College Hall of Fame plaque, the Co-Lin Community College Hall of Fame plaque, and he just added Delta State. You have to either get him a bigger wall or quit getting plaques. One of the two, isn't it?
That's not a bad wall to have.
No, you're filling that wall up. Final question of the day. Are you following the basketball portal now that it's open?
Absolutely not. Just tell me who we got at the end.
You don't care about maybes or could be?
Nah. What's the point?
I reckon you're right.
I guess if you consider following it, as I scroll through Facebook, I see where somebody at Mississippi State has either agreed to come to us or another one has entered the portal because he's leaving. If that's following it, then I guess so. But I most times don't know their name, don't know where they were, and I don't know how good they are that we signed them.
And if they're leaving, they hadn't been there long enough for you to know them yet. So
that's true. So I'd say yeah. I guess I followed it a little bit, Robbie.
Masters Golf Tournament. You got Scheffler or the field?
I've got the field right now, and I'm going to tell you what. After Rory's first round, he looks like he's going to be tough to beat.
Scheffler or the field?
Robbie, it's always hard to beat the field because you've got somebody's going to get hot. Now, if Scheffler gets hot, it might be over with, but. And I always think like the guy that leads it on the first day hardly ever wins it. So I'd take the field just because I think you got better opportunities to get there. But Scotty Scheffler can, as we've seen, can turn it on in a heartbeat. But yeah, I'd take the field.
Well, thanks to Bill Hodges, the basketball coach, our former head basketball coach at Indiana State, Glenn Davis at Co-Lin. We appreciate them joining us on this Friday morning, guys. Thanks, and we'll come back next Friday morning see if we can get more trouble.
Roll until the clock unwinds, and then we'd holler out one more time. Don't turn out the lights, the party ain't over. Well, the band just started to play my favorite song. I just found my baby and I want to get a chance to hold her. So don't turn out the lights, the party ain't over. I said don't turn out the lights, don't turn out those lights, don't turn out the lights, the party ain't over.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.